The old mansion stood desolate, consumed by shadows and silence. One moonlit night a lone figure approached, drawn by an unknown force. He was a wanderer, seeking refuge from the storm brewing within and without. As he neared the decaying porch, a flash of black darted across his path. A pair of emerald eyes glowed from beneath the porch swing, startling the man. A purr, soft as the rustling leaves, broke the silence. He bent down, extending a hand. The black cat rubbed against him, its fur surprisingly warm. In that instant the man felt a strange comfort, an invitation into the mansion's cold embrace. He stepped inside, the cat at his heels. Dust motes danced in the pale moonlight, filtering through grimy windows. The air hung heavy with the scent of decay, and something faintly sweet like decaying roses. The man shivered, a sense of foreboding settling upon him like a shroud. The mansion groaned under the weight of years and neglect. Floorboards creaked beneath his feet, each step echoing through the empty halls. He explored dusty rooms, each filled with remnants of a forgotten life. A shattered vase lay upon a toppled table. A child's doll abandoned in a rocking chair, its painted eyes staring vacantly. He felt a presence, unseen, watching his every move. A cold draught brushed his cheek, carrying the faintest whisper of a name. He turned, but found only shadows twisting in the flickering candlelight. The black cat sat at the foot of the grand staircase, its luminous eyes fixed on him with an unnerving intensity. The man tried to shake off the feeling of unease. He told himself it was just the wind, just the house, settling. But deep down a primal fear began to stir. This place held secrets, dark and ancient, secrets that whispered on the wind and hid in the shadows, secrets that watched him with glowing eyes. Nightfall descended, cloaking the mansion in an oppressive darkness. The storm raged outside, mirroring the turmoil brewing within the man's heart. He found himself drawn to the library, its shelves lined with leather-bound books. As he ran his fingers along the spines, a book tumbled to the floor, its pages fluttering open. It was a tome of ancient lore, filled with disturbing illustrations of rituals and sacrifices. He slammed the book shut, his heart pounding against his ribs. The black cat hissed, its eyes glowing with an unnatural intensity. The room grew colder, the air thick with a palpable sense of dread. He reached for the lamp, but the flame sputtered and died, plunging him into absolute darkness. A low growl resonated around him, no longer the sound of a harmless cat, but something feral and hungry. Panic surged through him, threatening to consume him entirely. Stumbling through the darkness, he felt the cat brush against his legs, its fur now as cold as ice. He stumbled back, his hand connecting with a wall. Panic gave way to terror as he realized the shadows were moving, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes that seemed to reach for him with unseen claws. He ran blindly, desperate to escape the horrors closing in. The mansion seemed to mock him, its twisting corridors leading him in circles. He could hear the cat padding behind him, its soft paws echoing loudly in the silence. A cold laugh seemed to reverberate through the halls, chilling him to the bone. He tripped, falling over an unseen obstacle. Gasping for breath, he scrambled back, pressing himself against the cold stone wall. Looking up, he saw them, portraits lining the walls, their eyes seeming to follow his every move. But it wasn't their gaze that terrified him. It was the symbols etched into the frames, symbols he now recognized from the Book of Dark Lore. He found himself in a grand ballroom, illuminated by a single shaft of moonlight. Dust motes danced in the ethereal glow, swirling around the black cat. It sat calmly in the center of the room, its eyes burning like embers in the darkness. He felt a strange pull towards the creature, a hypnotic allure he couldn't resist. He took a step, then another, drawn inexorably towards those glowing eyes. His fear was replaced by a strange sense of serenity, a feeling of coming home after a long and arduous journey. The cat's purr reverberated through the room, a low, guttural sound that vibrated in his very bones. As he reached out to stroke the cat's fur, the moonlight shifted, revealing what he had failed to notice before. The shadows cast by the cat weren't those of a small animal. They stretched across the floor, long and twisted, ending in claws that scraped against the marble. The purring intensified, morphing into a low growl that sent chills down his spine. He tore his gaze from the cat, looking up at the portraits lining the ballroom walls. They depicted men and women from centuries past, each one adorned with fine clothing and haughty expressions. But as he looked closer, he saw the fear hidden in their eyes, the subtle desperation in their painted smiles. They too had been drawn to this place, seduced by its promises of power and immortality. And they too had fallen victim to the darkness that clung to the mansion, their souls trapped within its walls for eternity. He understood now that the symbols he had seen weren't just decorative. They were a warning, a desperate plea from beyond the grave. The cat hissed, breaking his trance. He realized with a jolt that he was standing on a trapdoor, its outline barely visible beneath a layer of dust. Looking down, he saw a faint glow emanating from the crack, a sickly yellow light that pulsed in sync with his pounding heart. Panic surged through him as the trapdoor gave way beneath his weight. He tumbled into the darkness, landing heavily on a cold, damp floor. Above him, the trapdoor slammed shut, plunging him into absolute darkness. He could hear the cat's triumphant hiss echoing from above, its sound sending chills down his spine. He fumbled for his lighter, the flickering flame revealing his surroundings. He was in a narrow passageway, the walls lined with bones. Human bones. The air hung thick with the stench of decay and despair. He knew then that he had to escape, not just from the mansion, but from the evil that permeated its very foundation. He ran, his heart pounding in his chest. The passage twisted and turned, each turn leading him deeper into the bowels of the mansion. He could hear the cat moving above him, its claws scraping against the wooden floorboards. It was toying with him, herding him towards his inevitable doom. The passage opened into a cavernous chamber, its walls covered in strange symbols that pulsed with an eerie light. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, its surface stained with what looked like dried blood. And on the altar, its eyes glowing with malevolent glee, sat the black cat. He knew then there was no escape. The mansion had claimed him, just like it had claimed countless souls before him. The cat jumped down from the altar, its form shifting, growing larger, more menacing. Its eyes, now as big as saucers, burned into his soul, reflecting his terror back at him tenfold. He closed his eyes, accepting his fate. He had been a fool to think he could escape the curse of the black cat, a curse that had haunted this mansion for centuries. His last thought, before the darkness consumed him completely, was of the countless souls trapped within these walls, their cries echoing through the endless night. The mansion stood silent once more, its secrets buried deep within its walls. The storm had passed, leaving behind an eerie calm. The only sound was the creaking of the house as it settled, and the soft meow of a black cat as it padded through the empty halls. But some say, if you listen closely on a moonless night, you can still hear the screams of the souls trapped within. And if you're truly unfortunate, you might catch a glimpse of glowing eyes watching you from the shadows, a harbinger of the darkness that awaits those foolish enough to cross the threshold of the haunted mansion.